What was this episode? It can't be legal to waste people's times like this. What was this? Nothing happened on this show whatsoever. Nothing mattered. We had so many matches for air. This was insane. This can't be legal. There needs to be a law against episodes like these. Because this has to be a crime somewhere. Because there's no way I just sat through 2 hours of nothing. Man, oh man. Literally nothing happened on the show. Only one match mattered, and that was the open challenge. Besides that, everything else was for air, and questionable. That main event, the contract signing, made no sense. I thought the contract signing was happening because, Drew McIntyre was going to come out and expose that Cody attacked Fatu. We didn't even get that. And I'm just over here wondering, why did Cody and Drew have to have a contract signing, but Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill didn't? Like, what's the point behind that? It's so inconsistent. This show was absolutely a waste of time. I thought Raw was bad. I think this was even worse than the Raw episode we got. Man, but anyhow though, even though this episode was silly, nonsense, and a waste of time, we still need to talk about what happened during it. We still need to talk about what went down, and we still need to talk about what transpired. So let's get right into this review. Let's get right into this breakdown. But before all that though, as always, our quote of the day. Quote of the day. Some days your heart will whisper instead of roar. And that's okay. Love still grows in quiet soil. Keep watering your peace. Keep holding your softness, and the world will learn to speak in your volume. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. That is your quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. So on this week's episode of Smackdown, we kicked off with a in-ring promo from Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill, but Tiffany Stratton came out first, and this was meaningless. This was pointless. This was such a terrible opener to the show. We had Tiffy Time come out with, she was extra squeaky this week. Her voice was extra high-pitched this week, and she just came out screaming, and it was ear-piercing. The screeching that came out of her voice tonight on the mic, it was so bad, and she just came out screaming the whole time. 99% of it is screeching, and then the rest of the 10% you have to decipher what she's trying to say. I'm like, just get your words out. The screaming is uncalled for at this point. But anyhow, though, Tiffany Stratton basically came out screeching and screaming and piercing everybody's ear. And she was just screaming out Jade Cargill to get out. I'm not going to wait till later on tonight. I need an explanation now. I need to face you now. I'm not going to wait till my music hits. I'm not going to wait till your music hits. Get out here right now. And she basically called out Jade Cargill. But before Jade Cargill could come out, we got the GM, Nick Aldis, coming down and telling Tiffany Stratton that you're still injured. Be careful what you wish for, because you're not medically cleared. You're medically tolerated, but not medically cleared. So I don't think this is a safe decision. I don't think you should be calling out Jade Cargill right now. And then after that, Jade Cargill ended up coming out, and she basically told Tiffany Stratton that, word for word, at Saturday Night Main Event, I'm going to beat you, put you in your place, and I'm going to become the next women's champion. And that was basically that. She basically told Tiffany Stratton that I'm going to beat you at Saturday Night Main Event. And that was the whole promo. That was the whole opener. That was the whole segment. No brawl, no nothing, no animosity. Just both of these women basically saying, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to beat you. And that's that. And Tiffany Stratton once again screeching, wailing, popping eardrums. But anyhow, though, that was your opener. After that, we got into our first match of the night, and it was Ilya Dragunov versus Nathan Frazier in a U.S. Championship Open Challenge match. And I'm going to be honest with you, after this match right here, you could have just completely turned off your TV and stopped watching SmackDown, because everything else after this just was completely cheeks, pointless, meaningless, and for air. This was the only match we had that had a stake, that had a championship on the line. The only match that wasn't for air. The only match that had a reason. But anyhow, though, let's talk about this match. So the match was Ilya Dragunov versus Nathan Frazier, like I said. And this was a pretty good match. These two absolutely went to war. And let me just say, Nathan Frazier's speed in the ring needs to be studied. This man is so quick and agile in the ring. Like, he was all over the place, all over the ring. And his high-flying moves are, cool. And he's quick with it too, which is even more impressive. He's doing it quickly. He's doing it precisely on top of that, which looks even better. It's just chef kiss. And Ilya Dragunov was holding his own as well. He was eating the moves. He was dishing them out. He was doing his own high-flying moves. He was doing his own heavy-hitting moves. So both of these two did their thing. They absolutely went to war. And this was a pretty solid match. And like I said, we got a lot of cool spots from both Nathan Frazier and Dragunov, which I really appreciated. But in the end of the match, Ilya Dragunov was able to outlast and out-wrestle Nathan Frazier, and he hit Nathan Frazier with the H-bomb finisher to retain his U.S. championship. And after this, we got Tommaso Ciampa coming out to basically beat down Nathan Frazier. And then Axiom ended up coming out to defend his tag team partner. Then Johnny Gargano ended up coming out to defend his tag team partner. And then Ilya Dragunov ended up getting involved in the mix. And we had a big brawl between all 5 of these men, which led into a backstage segment where Ilya Dragunov had to break it up and separate the two tag teams fighting against each other, which was a weird scene, but whatever. Anyhow, though, after this, we got on to our second match of the night, and it was Mr. Anti-Toxic Masculinity himself, Kit Wilson, versus him, Carmelo Hayes. And this match was for air. And let me just ask, does anyone actually think this Kit Wilson character will take off or even work? Because this is such an odd character. I'm like, where's this even coming from? What's the point of it? Like, what's the meaning behind all this? But anyhow, though, the match itself was thankfully very short, because nobody cared. Absolutely no one cared. There was no stakes, no nothing, no reason behind this match. Nobody cared, and the crowd was dead silent. But during the match, though, we did end up getting interference from The Miz, and he tried to cause Carmelo Hayes the match, but that was to no avail. He was unsuccessful, and Melo was able to thankfully pick up the win over Kit Wilson by hitting his first 48 finisher. And after the match, Melo ended up getting attacked by The Miz, and I guess this is progressing their story, which is pretty neat, I guess. But the match itself, though, Carmelo Hayes versus Kit Wilson, absolutely boring, absolutely didn't matter, absolutely skippable. But anyhow, though, after that, we went on to get our third match of the night, and it was Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss for air. Once again, another match for air, and there's another match for air after this match that was for air too, so don't worry, there was no shortage. But anyhow, we got Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss, and this match sucked, okay? This match was bad. No one asked for this match, and this match turned out to be even worse than I could even imagine. This was so boring, and the crowd was reasonably and absolutely understandably dead for this match. The crowd did not care. After Alexa Bliss's entrance, the arena absolutely went dead quiet, dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Nobody cared about this match. And the in-ring action from Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax was absolutely silly. This was so unseriously bad, it's not even funny. This match was so clunky. It was so boring. The in-ring action was bland. It was stale. Nia Jax was doing silly stuff. Not good silly stuff, just silly, goofy stuff. And Alexa Bliss as well. She did her best. You know, Alexa Bliss is pretty good in the ring, but it still wasn't a good match. This match was just, it didn't need to be there. At least if it was there, at least make it for some stakes or something. This match did not need to happen. This match was not good by any means. But anyhow, though, at the end of the match, Alexa Bliss was able to pick up the win over Nia Jax via roll-up. So basically, the whole thing was pointless. Anyways, moving on, because there's really nothing else to say. After this, we ended up getting our fourth and final match of the night, and it was the Motor City Machine Guns versus the MFTs. Once again, say it with me, for air. Okay, this didn't matter either. There was no stakes. There was no nothing, no stipulations, nada. This match, once again, was for air. But the match itself, though, it was alright. It was decent. It was definitely watchable. Nothing crazy, but it wasn't terrible either. We got some cool spots from the Motor City Machine Guns, which was very much appreciated by me. I enjoyed that aspect of it, but besides that, though, the match itself wasn't anything special, anything crazy. The MFTs did their thing, I guess, but it wasn't really that entertaining. The only person that was entertaining to me was Tama Tonga, and that was that. But anyhow, though, once again, the MFTs needed outside interference to win the match, to win a simple match, so they don't look any stronger. Like I've been saying, you need them to win cleanly to look stronger. If they keep winning via interference, they don't look like a threat. They look like they need interference to win. But anyhow, they ended up using outside interference to win the match, and after the match, we got a big brawl between the MFTs, Motor City Machine Guns, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Rey Fenix, and the MFTs were able to destroy and absolutely obliterate everyone, and they left everyone laid out, and the MFTs stood tall. And we had a scene with Shinsuke Nakamura laid out, the Motor City Machine Guns laid out, and Rey Fenix as well laid out. So that was that. And after this, we finally made it to our main event. It was the Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre contract signing. And like I said, I don't know why this was happening. I don't know why they needed a contract signing and Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill didn't. It seemed off to me. It seemed inconsistent, but whatever. Nothing makes sense nowadays in WWE anyway, so I'm just asking for too much at this point. But anyhow, though, we got to the contract signing. Cody Rhodes came out first, and then Drew McIntyre came out. So Cody Rhodes basically signed the contract first, and Drew McIntyre refused to sign the contract. He told Cody, if it's a count out, you retain. If it's disqualification, you retain. If you hit me in the face with a championship, you retain. This contract is one-sided, and I'm not signing it. This contract is lopsided, okay? And I'm not signing this whatsoever, because everything here is in your favor. The odds are in your favor. It seems like this match was made for you to win. And then Cody Rhodes was like, is that what you want? If it's no disqualification, I lose a championship. If it's no contest, I lose a championship. If it's a count out, I lose a championship. Is that what you want, Drew? Then you got it, because this match needs to happen. So Cody Rhodes agreed. So that's pretty cool, I guess. So that makes the match more unpredictable, I would say, which adds another cool aspect to it. So I appreciate that nonetheless. But besides that, though, that's the only positive thing that came out of this contract signing. So anyways, after Cody said this, Drew McIntyre agreed to the terms and services. He signed the contract, and Nick Aldis made it official. And after Drew McIntyre signed the contract, these two men exchanged a few other fighting words, and then we got onto a big brawl. Cody Rhodes ended up attacking Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre defended himself. He hit Cody Rhodes with a Claymore and slammed Cody Rhodes to a table, and that was that. We finished off with the final scene of Drew McIntyre standing tall and holding Cody Rhodes' championship, and that was that. That's how your whole show ended. That was the whole episode. Drew McIntyre stood tall, Cody was laid out, and that was that. And that was your whole show. That was literally your whole show. And overall, this episode of SmackDown, I would rate it a solid 3 out of 10. Like I said, this was completely skippable. This was pointless. None of the matches mattered except for one, and it was the very first match of the night. Besides that, though, everything else was for air, no stakes, no nothing. This show, like I said, it should be illegal to waste people's time like this. This is criminal. Okay, we need a law against stuff like this because, man, this was absolutely silly. This was goofy. But anyhow, though, that was your breakdown and your review of this week's episode of SmackDown. This was a quicker review because literally nothing happened. So, yeah. But anyhow, though, like I said, this was your breakdown. This was your review of this week's episode of SmackDown. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hearing me out. And thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.